relationship between two variables is called as a Cartesian plane on a mathematical ground. What is the applications in your scatter plots? So you have many different types of applications in your scatter plots. Here, like you can see, one is first most application is your correlation analysis. Correlation analysis in the previous topic we have discussed about the correlation and coefficient. So one is your correlation analysis. Using your correlation coefficient, how the analysis can be made in your scatter plots. So one application is your correlation analysis. So to investigate between the two different variables and the relationship between variables, suppose like the sales of the ice cream could not decrease by the temperature of the food. Okay? And if you want to know check the height of a person, you have to have the weight. Right? So that is what is weight and height should be made in calculating that. So this is a correlation analysis. Another application is your outlier detection. So where you have some result set in the data which is used to have the outliers. Then with the result only you can measure the outliers. That is what is outlier detection, where you have some result set data sets in analyzing the plots. So these are some of the applications in your scatter plots. You have made different also the mainly it is for correlation analysis and outlier detection. Then we see how to construct this scatter plot. First you have to have an independent and a dependent variable. Okay? As we know, your horizontal axis and your vertical axis have a numerical data set and a numerical value. So you have to have an independent and a dependent variable. Whether what type of data set you are going to represent your plot will determine this. You are independent and dependent. So based on that, you have to identify the variable type. First step is you have to identify the variable type, whether it is an independent or a dependent variable. Next is plot the independent variable on a x-axis. Especially if you are going for an independent variable, you have to express in a x-axis. And you are going to have a dependent. Suppose, guess an example on that. What would be an independent variable here when I am going to represent the x-axis? What would be? Any guess? What would be your independent variable which you are going to represent in the x-axis? Suppose I am going to take the right? So that is what is here independent. And I am going to have a dependent variable on y-axis. So what would be a dependent name? Okay? One person name would be a dependent for all 5 subjects. Okay? So that is what is here. Plot of the dependent variable on a y-axis. Simple things I am going to discuss. Suppose you are going to have a huge lumps of data that would vary. Right? So here I am extracting a relationship between the dependent variables. So you are extracting between the marks of the same person or 5 different subjects. Okay? So you are having a plot based on that. Here you have an example here. You have a match place, the goals score. You have a different data set. Understand the process through an example, the following data set. You have there are so many matches played here, the data that is being given in the top, and you have some goals which is being stored in the bottom. So some numerical data is being given. So based on this, you can have a dependent and independent variable going in that particular manner. Okay? So this is how you can plot your scatter plot. In the coming ways, you can have this, how these data sets and 2 variables will be taken into account in plotting the plot. So other patterns in the data also. So very, very important. It can also be useful for identifying other patterns in your data. So how closely your data points are associated between each other. So if there is any unexpected gap in the data or the outlier points also could be identified. So that is also another important point which you have to consider. So solve the measures. This can be useful if you want to segment the data into different points like development of a user's clusters. So like here, if you see this example, see here, data, clusters, gap in the values, outliers. So note down this. You can note down this. Data, clusters, which is having two variables, gap in the values will be scattered like this, and outliers, which is in a negative manner. Data clusters, gap in the values, outliers in the graph representing your scatter plots. Clusters means group. You can see in a positive direction it is moving towards upward, but it is being in one particular cluster in two directions. Upward, but in group of two. And you can see there is a gap in going upward. And here outliers, which is in a negative measure, which is coming down. Data